Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening to 107.7 FM New Orleans. This is What the Frick Live, Friday, April 7th, 2023. Good Friday.
Good Friday.
What the Frick Friday.
Yes.
That's how it all started. It was Frick and Frack Friday is how it all started. And now we're down to just What the Frick.
That's it. That's what we're down to.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in, especially here on 107.7 FM New Orleans. We are streaming live on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. Please share this show out. It helps our guests. It helps our show. It helps the network. Also, if you're watching via StreamYard and you want to leave comments or ask questions or anything like that, and it comes up Facebook user, we can't see your name, we can't see your picture, please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give StreamYard permission to use your name and picture so we know who we're talking to.
Absolutely.
Gosh.
And good evening, New Orleans.
New Orleans.
There we
go. New
Nolans.
Orleans.
Yeah,
Dark Fringe Radio. We were talking before. You're recording tonight.
Yes, we have another episode that we're recording tonight. Me and my co-host Jay Galosi, longtime childhood friends. We've been friends for over 30 years. We're going to be talking about the top 10 most evil songs ever recorded. So,
I got some of those.
Yeah, so we have a whole list that we're going to be going through tonight, and that episode will probably come out next week. But that's what you guys have to look forward to at Dark Fringe Radio. You can check out all our stuff at darkfringeradio.com, and that's pretty much it.
Can you tell me at least one song off that list?
Helter Skelter from the Beatles.
Oh, okay. Helter Skelter. There we go. Charles Manson from my hometown.
Charles Manson. There you go.
From my
it all comes around. There you go. Comes all around again.
All roads lead to Kentucky, folks.
That's right. That's
we
right.
Make psycho crazy is Kentucky. We love Appalachia.
Yep. So that's one of them. Hotel California, of course, another one. So we go through some of the more mainstream stuff, but we also get off to some really cool stuff as well. So you'll
love Dark Fringe Radio. I listen to your shows all the time when they come out. So
very good.
I'm sorry, I'm still looking at my phone because Carl, love his heart, is having technical difficulties. And we've been trying to help him to sign on. He wants me to email you there. Hold on. He wants me to email him. This is his email. He wants me to email this too. So we're trying to get him on now. Carl's here. I can see you.
There we go. See?
Okay, I'm emailing you right now. I'm emailing you this link to sign on because we need to talk about angels and demons tonight because it is Good Friday. It's Easter weekend, and I wanted to do it during this weekend. And Carl's an amazing person. He's been on the show
very
before.
Apropos.
He's been on the show before, so hold on here. Let me get this link to him, and hopefully this will work. And I'll send it to him right now. I didn't know what Carcosan was. Am I saying that right? Carcosan? It feels like a drug. We gotta ask him.
Yes. If you take Carcosan, please watch out for these side effects. Nausea.
This class civil, what is it, lawsuit or whatever?
Yeah. Class action lawsuit. Yeah.
Class action lawsuit.
Yeah. Fetterman.
Fetterman?
Yeah, on the just insert your.
Oh, well, I thought Fetterman like the guy, the DA guy, or the.
Oh, that guy too. Well, yeah, that's another guy, but no.
Yeah, Fetterman. I did not know that is another name for Fetterman. So anytime I think of Fetterman, I think of him and I think of Lurch. But Carl, I just sent you the link to that email. So hopefully that'll work. Click on the link and it should just give you directions on how to sign in.
But a very interesting topic for tonight, angels and demons, and it's very apropos for this weekend. So it being Good Friday, like you mentioned, I really can't wait to get into the discussion with Carl. But do you think you've ever yourself run into an angel or a demon?
Yeah, I've ran into a demon.
Really?
Let's talk about demons first, since it's so.
Oh, you want to go to the bad side first? All right,
we'll follow up with good. I think I ran into an angel when I was 18, but this is at the mall. And I was a store manager for Zales. This happened in 2013, 10 years ago, the same year The Conjuring came out. That's why Carl.
Really?
Yes, 10 years ago, 2013. I was a store manager for Zales, and they owned Piercing Pagoda that sits in the middle of the mall, so I have to go back and forth. So I'm at the Piercing Pagoda.
20-something years ago. That's a long time ago, but go ahead. Go on.
10 years. 10 years.
Yeah. Oh,
So anyway, this lady there is really close to the case, and she's like looking down in, looking at rings and stuff. She had bangs that came down, covered about this far, couldn't see her eyes. And I was like, oh, she's having a hard time seeing. I was like, so I go over there, just chat it up and everything. And she's talking. She goes, oh, these pieces are lovely. They're magnificent. She kept saying lovely, magnificent, lovely, magnificent. Yeah. Well, I had a coworker with me, Erica. My precious. Well, hold on. It's like that.
Oh,
it's
no,
like
don't tell
that.
me that.
So I was like, let me just pull these rings out so you can, try them on and stuff. Girls like to try on jewelry. So anyway, when I was pulling it out, she was saying, oh, how lovely. And then you heard another voice down deep and says, she has a good soul. And Erica there, her eyes got really big. And I was like,
holy moly.
What?
Yeah.
And so I ignored it. So I give her the rings and stuff. She says it again while she's talking. It's two voices. And she has a good soul. And I was like, and Erica's like, I'm going to go up to the food court. She dumped me. Erica dumped me while I was dealing with a demon. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So Erica goes to the food court. Oh, Carl's signing on. Erica goes to the food court. I'm going to bring him on right now. Hello, Carl.
Hello. I had to reroute. Sorry for the little delay.
Okay.
Hello, Carl.
Hi there. Rather than try to hook up the Gmail, which was bouncing back on me, or reroute to Facebook, I thought it would be best to just go to this because this one always works, and I just have less trouble. If I had logged on 20 minutes earlier, we might have been able to do that. Yeah. Hello there.
I'm finishing my demon story real quick. I'm right in the middle of a demon story at the
I heard
mall.
a little bit of it. Yes.
And so anyway, my coworker, it's freezing up some now. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. But my coworker leaves, and then the lady there says, do you have rosaries? And literally in my head, I'm going, oh my gosh, there's going to be an exorcism right here in the middle of the mall. And it's going to be me.
Oh my word.
I was like, yes, we have rosaries. So we go over to the other side, and she's like, oh, they're lovely. They're magnificent and all this stuff. She's like, can I touch one? I was like, and then I heard the voice again. I heard it 3 times. She has a good soul, like that. So I was like, oh, are you Catholic? And she's like, no, but I have a lot of friends that come pray for me and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, oh, here we go. Like all what we'd see in the movies, Carl. And so I'm showing her these things, and she's saying all this stuff. And finally she's like, okay, I'm done. Well, this older woman, older than this lady looked like she was in probably her 60s. The other lady looked like she was in her 80s. And she says, Mary. The lady's name was Mary. She said, stop bothering this woman. Is she bothering you? And all that. I said, no. And then Mary looks up at her bangs that was covered her eyes. I saw her eyes, and they were totally glassed over.
Ooh, that's a bad sign.
They were blue in color, but totally glassed over. So they ended up leaving. But when I was sitting there showing her rosaries, I felt God tell me, just show her love. Just act like you don't hear that voice. I asked her question where she's from, if she had children, pretended, and just was super kind to her. And so they leave. So Erica come back, and she said, what happened? I said, I believe that we just witnessed a demon-possessed person. Honestly do, because of the double voice. So that was my demon story. We were filling in before you came on. Carl probably has a lot better stories.
I like it. I like this story. I'm glad we started off with that.
Real quick, I want to introduce you real quick. Carl has been investigating reports of strange phenomenon for over 50 years, going all the way back, helping with Ed and Lorraine Warren. He's a member of the R.I.R.O research team based out of Rhode Island College in Providence. Carl has been featured on several seasons of the popular show, which is coming back up, Ghost Hunters. I think it was first couple seasons.
Yes, first 2 seasons.
First 2 seasons. He's worked out with everybody coming and going. Paranormal State, Ghost Adventures, which is we're going to bring Ghost Adventures up tonight with Zach Bagans and all the demon talk. Walking with Shadows. He's also filmed with Mike Ricksecker that was on last week with the Shadow Dimension. So has a lot of experience in his background. We really appreciate you and all the research and stuff you've done. ultimately the Conjuring that came out 10 years ago that stemmed off the Harrisburg?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Harrisville, Rhode Island case. The Perron family and everything. You were part of that in the 70s. So we appreciate you coming on and being part of What the Freak Lab tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Happy Holy weekend.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Tomorrow's Holy Saturday. Yesterday was Monday, Thursday. Also Passover, full moon.
Mm-hmm.
And
these Passovers and full moons.
Very powerful weekend.
Yes, it is. Well, the Passover and Easter weekend coincide with the full moon. They can't always hit it right on there, but often they do. I remember many full moon Good Fridays. In fact, I was married quite a long time ago, and I was married on a Good Friday on April 5th. It was. Yeah. I'm not married now, but that was, the circumstance back then.
Did you choose that date?
No, it just kind of happened. Actually, we didn't even choose that date. It was going to be, and then we kind of realized it was going to be Good Friday, and it seems very fitting. And we ended up joining that church. The minister married us, and she invited us to join, and we did. Lady, yes, and boy, some memories. Seems like a lifetime ago. Well, half a lifetime ago.
So speaking of lifetimes ago, Carl, how about when you were a child, before you got involved with all of this stuff might seem heavy to handle, deal with demonic entities and other things. Did you experience those things too yourself growing up? Have you always been drawn to that kind of spiritual realm?
Yes, always had things happening. Always was interested in it. When I say always, I remember going back to like when we were like 9 and 10 years old, things started kicking up more in my parents' house, which was all the more interesting because the house was actually younger than my twin brother and I. I think it was completed when we were 8 months old. My parents moved into that house. It was built for them. So one incident that happened, my sister was still in a high chair, so that puts it back. I must have been 7 years old. My brother and I were twins, so we're the same age. And my mother was getting a drink of water, and the spigot in the kitchen, and as she was about to drink the water, all of a sudden we heard kind of like, and her glass was empty.
It didn't break?
No, nothing like that. No leak or anything. It was just suddenly it was disappeared and the glass was empty. Well, that isn't the darndest thing, Lenny. Look, my glass, it's empty. It's empty. I know I put water into that glass. You saw me do it. That kind of thing. But it's people who don't want to accept that in their house. They have a willful amnesia. Then by the next day we were talking about it. Mom, did you see, my brother calls it the thirsty ghost. I'm saying, Mom, did you notice your water was suddenly gone? What do you think about that? Oh, I don't know what happened. I probably spilled it. No, Mom, we were there. And you said it, but my father just wasn't interested in that kind of thing. And my mother would be interested at first, and then she would like, oh, well, there was something, just because it didn't, I call it cocoon thinking, it didn't fit into her scheme of things, her concept of how the world works. So it couldn't be real.
Well, we have a lot of that now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if people find it inconvenient, they dismiss it. Can't be real. We as a species, as an intellectual species, have an amazing capacity for forgetting what's inconvenient to us. Especially when you're a paranormal researcher, then you realize how people sweep things under the rug and it can't be real. You cannot win an argument with a skeptic. When I say skeptic, I put that with quotes. Somebody who's just doesn't allow anything miraculous in their lives. Strangely, a lot of those people are creationists and believe in, of course I believe in God, and then we go to church. Well, that's a big concept, and for somebody who can't believe in the spirit being earthbound. But the skeptic, and I've worked with skeptical people. I mean, not just skeptical as far as discriminate, being cautious and observant, going beyond that, just refusing to accept anything. The diehard skeptic will always win the argument, and they always get the last word in, even if that last word is well.
Okay.
Well, come on. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Or
Come on.
whatever.
That's
I
like
mean,
that's like a
whatever.
spell that
Yeah.
dismisses everything, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
it's wonderful.
it's interesting because I live in the Bible Belt and stuff, and like all
I
all
know
these
you
church,
do. Yeah.
yeah, all these churchgoers, and I go to a church that's not like this, but thankful for it. But like the Holy Spirit, like the Holy Ghost, and I'm like, and then I talked to him about even Jesus coming back in spirit to talk to the disciples and stuff, and showed up on the water and everything. So it's why do you think people have such a hard concept and understanding that really ultimately, if we want to throw the Bible in this, the Bible talks more about the spiritual world than the earthly world. Why do they have a hard time grasping that we're kind of commingling on the same platform?
Well, I asked my father about that when I was a boy. Why don't miracles happen now? And he said, well, that was for the time. Things happened back then. 2,000 years ago, things happened back then. God was on the earth then. Things happened. There were miracles then. In other words, it's a mystery why that happens. But some people will contend that miracles still happen, and they do in a sense, in a very broad sense of the term miracles. The impossible happens, the unknown, the things that can't be do occur. Like even according to Scripture, if you strictly interpret Scripture, the miracles are no more. The miraculous healings, the appearances of God, those shouldn't be happening anymore, and yet they do.
Well, why should they not be happening?
St. Paul had said that they were miraculous healings. The apostles were given gifts of the Spirit to interpret languages. They could understand foreign languages that they had never studied. They could touch someone and heal them, even if they were missing a limb or their sight was gone. And then biblically, those gifts could be passed on to the successors by the apostles, but their successors could not pass on the gifts of the Spirit, and so it should have stopped. And yet, strange things do happen. Like scripturally, we should not worship Mary, Mother of God, as a deity. Of course, this is an interpretation. It can be argued and debated, and nobody will win that argument. But you can cite Scripture, and Mary is Mother of God in a sense, but she is not, and she was holy, but she was not a deity. She was not a goddess. And yet, Mary appears. The apparition of Mary appears at times in the basilica, in certain churches in Rome and other areas. It shouldn't be. It's not strictly not scriptural. It's impossible logically, and yet these things happen. So I don't think it's too much of a stretch to believe in spirits and demons in the world. However we define them, we don't have the clinical terminology.
I'll have one more statement and then I'll let Will follow up. But do you think it's our own doing? Because where we like mask or make excuses, like your mother with the water and things that we are cocooning. Somebody said cocoon thinking, Sarah, that's on here, is a coping mechanism. Maybe if we had more faith in these things and the promises that are told to us throughout the Bible and stand on those, we'd see more. Shouldn't stop.
Some people would accept it. They would be believing when these things do happen. To me, it is just amazing when these things happen. I don't understand it. I don't know how to interpret it. It doesn't make me say, "Oh my word!" Not I'm converting to Catholicism tomorrow. This shows it, or I'm going to be a Methodist tomorrow. It's just it's bewildering. The impossible sometimes happen. Impossible in the sense that we don't have an explanation for it yet. And so if one is a paranormal or parapsychological researcher, especially if one specializes as a demonologist, and I am one of those, you have to be prepared to say, I just don't know. I'm not going to find an explanation for this. Probably. I'm going to try to, but sometimes I just don't know how that happened. And people in paranormal investigation will run into that. It's kind of a conundrum. We've got to make it fit. There's got to be a reason for it. So, the spirit is distressed and they're stuck. We have to cross them over, or the spirit is trying to get through to us. It's somebody who lived here before. We really, a lot of times, don't know that. We don't know the source of the spirit. We can't say it's someone that we knew coming through to us. I mean, there's one theory or one idea that some of these spirits, if not all of them, are actually pretending to be who they are. And they're really something else altogether. They're not human spirits. That's another thing that can be debated. In the Bible, spirits of people do not linger on earth. They're otherwise accounted for. Although there are some scriptures where, spirits are called forth. And soothsayers would call them forth. So you have a lot of contradictions, a lot of, mysteries, a lot of conundrums. But sometimes these things do happen. It is not possible that a statue should weep. A statue is an icon. It's a graven image. Why should blood come out of its eyes? It was a statue of Mary or of Jesus. But it happens. That is not proof that one particular religious sect or belief is true and the one right thing. It's just that the impossible sometimes happens. I've seen the impossible happen. Impossible because I can't explain it, but I allow that something caused it. So there is an explanation. I'll probably never know it. It used to happen a lot more when I was younger, when I was a kid, like you were saying. Strange things would happen. Things I can't do now, things I can't explain. Every once in a while they do. There's a principle called transmutation, where an object actually the alchemists were trying to transmute base metals like lead into gold. I don't think they ever succeeded, but it was interesting work. And it was about, I guess it's been a month now. I was doing laundry and a nickel fell out of my pocket. And or it was in the wash. I said, okay. And I put it in my pocket, went upstairs. The next morning, that nickel had changed into a dime. And I'm like, no, come on now. There's no purpose for this. It's not teaching me anything. It's not revealing anything. I just know it happened. And, I can't dwell on it all day. It's just a kind of an amusing thing. I used to do things that I can't do now. I used to be able to change the face of a card. I'd playing a card game, and I'd be just playing with them. I said, let's see what happens if I put them, shuffle them, put them down, but then I would look at a card, I'd go and do something else. And this did happen when I was 11 years old. I picked up that card and its face had changed. And I remember telling myself, when I grow up, when I get older, I'm going to think I imagine this, because I'm only a kid now. I've got to memorize this. I've got to know this really happened. I wrote a note about it. This really happened on such and such a date. The card face changed itself, and I had a feeling it was going to. So because I made that proviso to myself, I won't remember this falsely. That card face did change. I mean, it makes no sense. Some of it's freaky things. I used to be able to do a trick where my friend, who became my very important person in my life, Christian Tobler. He lives in Oxford, Connecticut now, but he used to live next door to me in North Situate, Rhode Island. And we would be playing with a basketball hoop. I used to do a trick with a basketball. This vaguely ties into paranormal research. I'll get there. I would toss the ball up a couple of yards, and I would punch the basketball, in a way that would send it up into the air. It looked like it was going up to the stratosphere. The basketball would go up, up, up until it was an orange dot, and then you couldn't even see it. And then it would come back down. It would take about at least a minute and a half for that basketball to come back down, hit the ground. Sometimes they'd even be able to catch it. And my friend Christian was saying, that's amazing. You shouldn't be able to do that. And I said, no, I'd do it again. And I used to be able to do that trick. I'd hit the ball just right, and it would go up till you couldn't even see it anymore. Wow. And then it would go back down. Now, some years later, probably about 10 years later or so, I said, oh, I remember I was in my later 20s. I remember I used to, when I was married, I tried to show my wife how I could do that. I couldn't do it.
You're showing off.
Yeah, I said, no, I thought, because I like the
amusement. You can't do this, Linda. No,
can't try this, girlfriend. And, all I did was kind of sprained my wrist, and I hit it again. it goes up about 4 feet and then boom, boom to the side. So I was like, wait a minute, no, I did do this. Yeah, all right, I've seen you try. I believe you did it. No, I can do it. I could not. I can't do it again. I didn't have the muscle memory for that. I don't know how I did it in the first place because it seems like a real anomalous thing. I used to be able to disappear.
Oh, well, I know some guys that still do that, Carl.
Oh, well, now,
I wish I could disappear sometimes.
That's a whole episode, isn't it? I could vanish.
We call it ghosting these days.
Yeah. I achieved invisibility. I could do that sometimes. And then and people would swear by it. You disappeared, you vanished. Well, it's something I do.
I believe it. I believe it.
I can't do that now. However, I can move objects. I've tried that. I've experimented with psychokinesis. I can. I mean, putting me to the test might put some stigma in my mind, might delay it. But
right.
I can, if you put a paper on a pencil, I can make that move around. I didn't invent this experiment, but and allowing that I'm not breathing on it or anything. And we were at a party with the Friends Paranormal group in Lincoln, Rhode Island, and they had a Christmas party, and with a black Christmas tree with all like kind of Halloween-y decorations on it. And we were trying some really cogent psychic experiments. And at first it wasn't working for me. Then my little, it's like a paper umbrella, folded paper. Mine started to move, and I said, I've got to make sure this is not air currents. And I made it, okay, we'll turn it to the right. Now we'll do 2 turns to the left. I just envisioned it. I pictured it happening. Now 3 turns to and I can sometimes make cat balls light up enough times that I know I'm doing it, a little lighting up ball. And the trick to that is believing you can do it and not caring if it doesn't work. Once you achieve that, you can get remarkable results. I was out at a haunted site in Foster, Rhode Island last Sunday, Ramsdale Ruins. It's a haunted site. And somebody had the cat ball, and a little girl, her stepdaughter was playing with it. She said, if you talk to the ghost, maybe you make that light up. And so I wanted the child to have an experience. So I looked at it, and I believed it would light up, and it lit up. So I said, we'll do it again for her. Again, Mom. And then some of the adults were off with their equipment, with the ramp pod, the K2 meter. I had fun with that. He said, I hope we get something. I just like this with my finger. It's like gesture toward it. So I can do, and maybe it's coincidence. Maybe it's just good timing, but I'm fine with that. I don't know if this ties into angels and demons, because some people would say, well, the devil's giving you that ability. That's
what the people are going to say. Right. Of course.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm going to take my chances with that. I'm going to live dangerously. It is actually psychokinesis experiments. My cell phone will, my smarty phone will, a certain number, it'll stick sometime with letters or numbers, especially N and M's will stick sometimes, and it won't do them, or it'll put it in a sort of period, unless I'm looking at it. If I look at it and think you won't do that, it doesn't do that. I correct it. I do that experiment like at least once, twice a week. My word, the things that happen. I remember another thing that was strange when I was an adolescent. I remember I was cleaning the gutters in my parents' house, and there was a cat that always would run away from me. It was just a neighbor's cat. And this cat came up to me and started, when I was on a ladder on a platform, and started rubbing against me affectionately. I said, oh, hello there. You like me now? The next day, that cat was killed in the road. We lived in near a road. And that happened again and again. Cat would come to me and be gone the next day.
Do you own cats now?
No. This could be a show in itself.
This should be on. Do you have cats? Like that should be. That's kind of. What about dogs?
Emily, I've never owned a pet.
Wow. Okay.
Not even
goldfish.
fish?
Do they count? They don't.
Oh,
Yeah,
fish.
Yeah.
I was never. It was a strange thing in my parents' house. I was never allowed to have a pet.
Hmm.
Usually that didn't matter to me. Sometimes I whined, but I could never,
Hold on, I got questions.
never have a pet. My sister could. I couldn't. I don't know
how about
why
your
that
twin
was.
brother? What does your twin brother have the same giftings and callings and all this kind of stuff too?
Oh yes, yeah, very much so. Except
Does he
my
have
brother.
a pet?
No, he never cared about pets. But he had a cat, like a few cats, I guess, recently.
Until the cat touched Carl.
Well, I had that magic touch. I'll take your cat away from you. You should have appreciated it. So many weird things like that happened. I used to, when I was young, very young, like 9, 10, I would do these experiments like I do now. I'd try to get the door to open. I'd seen something on television, like My Favorite Martian or something. I would try to get the door to open with just pointing at it. By gum, I was able to. Not under laboratory conditions and not every time, but enough times that I knew I was doing it. I say, Mom, guess what I did? No, you did not. I can make the door open by thinking about it. Let's see you do it. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Mom. I don't know if it's going to work that way. Yeah. And I think I did once. And she said, oh my God, I can't believe you. Look what your brother did. Your brother's a ghost.
You should have messed with her. You should have said, Mom, it was me that drank that water.
You'd forget it the next day. No, but then we got, I said, well, Mom, I told you propensities of the mind.
Maybe it was you, Carl. Maybe it was you, Carl. You drank that water.
Then there's the next day thing, well, you say you did. I don't remember it opening like that. I proved it to you. Yeah. Those are fun things, and we don't know the principles behind them. I say PK. Right. Quantum is the new magic. Right. Magic used to be in the 50s radiation. That could make the Hulk. That could make Spider-Man. Radiation.
Because we're all radiated.
X-ray.
We're all radiated now, so we got to go to a different level. We've all been exposed.
400 years ago, or 300 years. No, more like 400 years ago. It was Conjuring. 300 years ago, it was spectral evidence. It was the demons, the spirits, the minions of the devil. This was magic before. Then it became different things. Then it was seance magic. The spirits, my spirit guide is coming through. Then that was
table
magic.
tipping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the early 20th century.
Yeah.
And then the 1950s was radiation. If you're exposed to radiation, you will develop powers. Now, you're lucky if you don't get cancer from it. And then there was the occult revival in the 1960s. And it's morphed, but now magic is quantum. Quantum does the impossible. We don't have to understand it. We just know it. We read reports. We know it can do things that are impossible. It can transport people through portals and things.
Dark matter.
Dark matter. We could do a show about that, and we can't answer any question.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting, and this applies to the paranormal too.
Absolutely.
Because dark matter is only known through inference, if you get my meaning. Right. You can infer dark matter, you can't see it. Just like you can't see a black hole, you can infer the black hole because of the matter around us being pulled into it.
Exactly.
And creates a vortex vector. The dark matter is pushing the planets, the star systems, pushing everything away from itself. Like it's going. And it's not like there's lacking inertia after a while. It doesn't slow down.
Right.
This being pulled apart and pushed apart is accelerating, as you know. It's dark matter is pushing things away from each other, objects in space, at an increasing rate. It keeps getting faster and faster and faster. That doesn't jive with modern physics until you introduce new principles. But and how can something go faster than the speed of light, like with inflation in the early universe? Because it's its own containment. Because it's it has nothing to do with the observer. It's its own. In that containment, it can go faster, can expand faster. Isn't this fun to talk about? Aren't we?
Absolutely.
It is fun, but
I just like mind-blowing things.
We need to go about demons and angels.
Yes, let's get on that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, I want to ask a libation for that. Here's
there you go. Let's do that.
Here's my little taco cup. Taco Bell. They are not sponsoring this show. but I love them, and if they want to contact me, they can.
Carl, I wanted to ask you a question. Do you believe people are like born with either a demonic or maybe angelic spirit in them? You know, sometimes we I don't know, we see people that have done such good things in their life and sacrificed their life and what their entire being for a cause or whatever, and then you see the opposite. You see these evil people out there. You see the Hitlers of the world. These people are just truly evil. Do you think people are born with that in them, or is that something that maybe gets into them after? Explain that to me. Do you have any kind of theory behind that?
People can be born with, it's all of the psyche. People can be born with a disposition to be malevolent and be rebellious. I mean, nobody's born evil. A lot of it has to do with environment, but some people have that predisposition. They say, oh, this is fun. If I can get away with doing this, if I can get away with doing that, I don't get caught. That's stealing from somebody, or it's doing harm to somebody else. But yeah, I can get away with it. It starts early on. We say that everyone is born innocent, but some people just have a nasty disposition that they're prone to. And again,
is that generational curses then? Are we getting into that?
Only in a very pragmatic sense, not something. I don't think that an angel or a demon is attached to a person from the start of the inception of their lives, and it's going to show up. But some people have that almost programmed into them from an early age. And then again, there are contradictions to what I'm saying. I try to take a logical observational approach. Sometimes there's just like, I can't figure it out. Right. Padre P.I.R.O.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was like his life was programmed for him. He had to suffer. He had setbacks, physical, like health setbacks. And yet he did good, and it was apparently responsible for miraculous healings. He evinced the stigmata. We know, we should talk about this on Good Friday, where persons will bleed mysteriously from their hands or wrists or feet and forehead and side, an approximation to where Jesus' wounds were inflicted in the crucifixion. It does happen. There's another thing.
Well, Jesus also prayed until he bled too from his forehead. His sweat was of blood.
Yes,
so is that where he's getting that from?
Gethsemane, and his sweat became like unto blood. And under extreme emotional duress, people can.
Could that just be really dirty? Could that just be dirt? I'm sorry, but I've seen a lot of men in the Appalachian Mountains sweat.
Wow!
It looks like blood, but it's dirt.
But it's really dirt. Heck, I'm sweating blood here.
I mean, I swear. I'm so sorry, everybody, but when I read that, and a lot of times, I think that the area they're in is, but I'm sure it was as of like blood, because that's how intense Jesus was praying.
Well, they said, and his sweat became like unto blood, but right. I believe that Jesus would be blood. If somebody is under that much stress, emotional duress, spiritual anxiety, yes, they can physically, they can sweat blood or cry blood. It can happen. Now, that was in a different time, and that was Jesus. It happens to people. It's rare, very rare, but it can happen where people just exude blood. They bleed from those apparent wounds. The first person documented to do that was in the 1200s, was Saint Francis of Assisi. And he levitated. He spoke to God, and people would hear God's voice speaking back to him. He exhibited the stigmata. There was a woman who lived in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. I've been to her grave numerous times. Marie Rose Perron. They called her Our Little Rose. And she was French speaking. And she lived from 1903 to 1936, 33 years. People sought her out for miraculous cures. And many people were cured from tuberculosis. rheumatoid arthritis. She would perform healings, but she could not seem to heal herself. And she always had affliction. She died quite young, and 33. And I've seen a picture of her in death, in repose, and you can see what looks like lattice work on her forehead, indicating the crown of thorns. She would believe she was bandaged up, her hands frequently. This would have, and it was more pronounced on Good Fridays. That's when the stigma, and sometimes that's when they start this. I used to envy that. I wished I had it, but I don't want to. The afflictions seem to go with a holy life. Why did that happen to her? Why isn't that a common thing? Why is it so rare? We just no. And does this mean that Mary, Mother of God, is divine? That we should be praying to her? Does this mean that there are apparitions? The Holy Spirit manifest in those ways? It doesn't make sense, but it happens. Is it because large numbers of people believe it, or does it happen?
So, well, do you have a question? I have another question, but
I just have a quick question. I just want to know if what your position is on this, Carl, of the theory of this hierarchy in the demons and angels, almost like an army. You you talk about the demon side. You have Asmodeus, Beelzebub, all these people, and then the angel side, you have Michael and all these other people. Do you feel is that something that you subscribe to? You think that there is some type of hierarchy during this whole thing?
Well, it makes a good scenario, and it answers a lot of questions, doesn't it? Now we know that there's an army of these fallen spirits, and they militate against human beings, and we have names for them. Do I believe it literally? No, I do not. I do not. I believe these names are inventions of human beings and came up with these names and inscribed them and wrote them down. And this is the hierarchy. This is the infernal region, the infernal militia. And, angels have, principalities, seraphim, cherubim.
The 9 choirs.
Yes, they have, and but there's an approximation in the demonic realm, and and Sargentanas and all these kind of names, Asmodeus, which are Greek, and Euronymous is a Greek name, and it can make sense when you put it all together. But I think it's a fairy tale. That's a poor way to put it, perhaps, but I think it's mythical. Let's say that. I think it's mythical. It's a grim and dark myth. Yes. But I think it's all inventions of man because it answers questions that are unanswerable.
Right.
We can't really figure these things out. It's why do bad things happen in the world? Why do I see shadows that look like people in my house? Where are these things coming from? And how can you explain all the evil in the world if there is not a devil? Of course there is. Look what's happening to the world. Now you look at the world. You watch the news. You tell me there's no devil. Well, you won't like it if I tell you that.
Right. But that's like a meme I saw the other day. It's like a lot of people blame the devil for a lot of the stuff that's going on to them, and then a lot of it's self-inflicted. You know what I mean?
That's why that sounds like a story. Just blame their ex-husbands and wives.
Ex-husbands can seem rather demonic, can't they? They keep coming back to haunt.
So back to the stigmata real quick, because I always find that there's a counterfeit to things. So we have this blood and the sweat and everything, and from like Jesus' point of view, angelic in many deals with sacrifice, but then the stigmata of these demonically influenced or possessed homes. We see this portray through like the walls and stuff of these homes. Like there's been mentions of blood coming through walls, or the walls start sweating and things. Is this counterintuitive? Like I always think that there's a counterfeit to whatever might be good or holy or I don't know if you want to say pure. I don't know what you want to call it. But then there's this other side that they kind of link together eventually. But it gets in that good versus evil.
I like the way she talks, Will, don't you? Like counterfeit.
Oh yeah,
counterintuitive.
Oh, there's always a counterfeit. There's always a counterfeit. There is always a counterfeit.
I still like to use that word when we can.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, again, it is interpretative. It's how you interpret the phenomenon. Those things do happen where there are like shadows on walls and handprints that appear. Fluid seems to ooze through the walls. Those things do happen. I ascribe that to poltergeist activity myself. I'll give you an example. Paranormal investigator goes into a house. So two paranormal investigators walk into a bar, right? They go into a house, and they've been alerted, and oh, there's something wrong in our house. We don't know what's happening. There's some kind of presence. We just feel it. We're starting to see things. Okay, there's discoloration on the wall. Yeah, okay, that could show that there's some kind of spirit presence. We can't figure out what's doing it. It suddenly gets cold in the room. Well, there are air currents that could explain that, and there's all kinds of factors that can make changes and fluctuations in temperature. Yeah, there is something paranormal going on. Yeah. Do you have children in the house? What are their age? Oh, they're adolescents or on the threshold of adolescence, going through their own identity crises. Do the children see a lot of this? A lot of things to consider in a haunting. And as soon as it's called a haunting, then it's supernatural, but it's something worth investigating. Yeah, there could be self-generated poltergeist in that, the people that could be causing it. And I'd say, yeah, this is an interesting, probably have the rudiments of a haunting here. We don't know what else to call it. Well, sometimes I'll say non-corporeal infestation, but who wants to say that?
No, wow.
Then you get someone else.
I want to know if you can spell that.
NCI. NCI.
Non-corporeal infestation. Yes, I can spell it. I've written it a few times.
I'm kidding, Carl. I'm asking anybody that's just watching. Can you all spell that? Put it in the comments.
Yeah. Non-corporeal. Yeah. Infestation is what you got.
Oh, there we go. You didn't put it in or in or period in that.
Yeah, I didn't shut off my phone because I do get calls like phenomenally during an interview.
Oh, do you?
And when I check the messages, it's like, you're on a show! Exclamation point. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah. And
Elise is saying hello.
Oh, hello, Elise. Oh, my word. The brains of our outfit right there. Hello, Elise. Yeah, she said hi. She said she'd pop in if she could. Yeah, Elise is a pragmatist. I like to think I am. I'll explain what that means. Now, okay, you've got criteria for a haunting. And say, yeah, you might, we got to examine what could be doing that. Let's check out your cellar. What's the radon levels? Do you have an earth floor to your basement? Mm-hmm. Is it an earth surface? Does it get damp in there? That could explain the fluctuations in temperature. Let's look for commonalities, continuity. What times of the day and night do you get these things? All right. Then you get a fundamentalist, and I will cite the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren. Bless them, the pioneers in the paranormal. Mm-hmm. The Warrens come in, the same symptoms. Say, you have a demon in your house, mm-hmm. Which you should never say to somebody anywhere. Right. Look, you've got foul smells coming in. We don't know where they come from. And then there's the odor, the sweet smell of sanctity. You have 3 knocks. Bum, bum, bum. That is obviously mocking the Trinity.
There you go. Yeah.
You see shadowy forms. You have forms, faces on your wall. I see a face in that. No, I see a handprint. No, there's a face in the wall. You have a demon in your house, and we have to get rid of it. You should move out of your house. It's all interpretation, but right. To Ed and Lorraine Warren, that was real. That was real because that's how they interpreted it.
Carl, let me ask you a quick question. Do you think that's something that's happening more now, that everybody's just calling every type of maybe paranormal experience a demon? And well, I didn't bring up his name. No, I didn't say anything like that.
I'm a fan.
Somebody brought up his name.
I didn't even say his name. But what I'm saying is that, do you find that there's a lot of that going on? Like people saying, okay, something move, and okay, that's a demon. You don't know if that's a demon. That could be a poltergeist, right?
Self-diagnosis.
Right.
We get a lot of calls from that, Elise and I, that we, I have a demon in our, not every week, but, we have a demon in our house, it's a self-diagnosis. Once somebody accepts the premise of a demon in their home or after them, that's very hard to shake.
Right.
Because everything that happens, they can attribute to the demon. And they'll get that confirmation when the glass rolls off the table and
the water's gone from a cup.
Oh yeah,
Hey.
that's gonna be kind of sinister, right
The
there.
glass is empty. It's not half full. It's not half empty. The glass is totally empty.
Oh, that shows something about your perspective.
It's a demon. It's a demon when it's all empty.
Yeah.
I will never look at a glass the same, Carl. After tonight, I'll just say that.
Well, I never did. Yeah. The demon serves a purpose. You know, they give us something. Those demons out there, they're doing something for us. They answer questions. They fill in blanks. You know, what's doing this? Why do things going wrong? And now we've got paranormal things that are happening in our home.
Right. Right.
Why?
Yeah.
Then it's demonic because bad things are happening. You know, it's and I really don't mean to make, you know, I'm not that sardonic that I'm making fun of. Yeah, I am making fun of people, but I mean, it's very frightening when you're into that situation. And once they accept that premise, then it becomes real. It's personified. The activity is personified. It's got a personality.
Well, they speak it onto themselves, don't you think? There's a lot of power in your words when you start
give it
speaking
energy.
it.
Well, yeah, you have that. Words resonate. Words have power. These old names, and you find out that they're, you know, considered to be demons. They weren't always. See, besides demonologist, I'm a cathonicist, and that's somebody who makes a study of the underground spirits from antiquity. And but if you call yourself a cathonicist, that's the English. I like the English pronunciation. Western American would be thonicist, but I like cathonicist. And but if you introduce yourself as a cathonicist, you don't get invited to parties because people don't even know what it was. Oh, well, mine's been hurting lately. No, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a cathonicist. But demonologist, yeah, people will seek me out. What do we have here? We have a comment.
Yeah, Denise says there seems to be more fear-based reaction, which I agree. I have an acronym or whatever you want to call for fear-based reactions when people turn to Google lore rather than humans that have experience or insight. Google, like, even if you're sick, don't look up stuff on Google. Like, don't go there. But it's fears, false evidence appearing real, is what I classify fear as. And, you know, fear with your mind plays games with your mind.
Yeah. Well, that's why hauntings are so scary. I mean, you get the 3 knocks on the door, and if somebody's told you that's a sign the devil is trying to get in, or a demon is, you know, that's going to be pretty scary. I welcome it. I love that when I get. It hasn't happened in years now, but I used to get that when I was living with my mother. Get 3 knocks on the door. My father had passed away. She said, you know, "Could that be your father?" I, you know. Like to think so.
Speaking of fear, we're going to announce this real quick for you, Carl, and then we'll let you go and close out the show. But we didn't even talk about angels, so that just means you're going to come back home. We got to talk about angels.
Angels, for heaven's sake!
Yes.
I sound like something, you
know.
No,
we need to talk about angels. So obviously, I'm going to message you. But you are related to a horror fiction writer. He's pretty infamous, and you're having the 86th anniversary of the death of H.P. Lovecraft, right? You're related to him, right?
How'd you know?
You told me.
Famous, I say. I'm not infamous. I say famous. Yeah.
Well, it's like Babylon said in Son of Frankenstein. Both famous and infamous. Yes. H.P. Lovecraft is my cousin. And it's closer than I thought. I mean, I discovered him when I was researching H.P. Lovecraft to write an article about him that I'm related to him. By golly, this is too good to be true. And I am. And then I had somebody do some genealogy research and genealogical. And I'm closer than I thought. My mother's great aunt was H.P. Lovecraft's grandmother. It goes like that. Or great aunt, I should say, her great aunt. And so we're pretty close.
The cousins Leviathan.
Yeah.
We got Jezebel in there too.
Hey, I'm not boasting. He never called me. He never called me. I don't think he's gonna.
But you're having this event though on April the 23rd, 2 to 3 p.m. and that is in Rhode Island, right?
That's in Rhode Island. That'll be in Providence.
But are you doing this live too on Facebook?
I don't think it'll. Well, some people will, be documenting it, but it's not going to be broadcast live. because then you have to have the camera and have somebody with at least a phone, and it becomes a little disruptive. So we just do it, and take pictures. We're not supposed to be taking pictures in Swan Point Cemetery where H.P. Lovecraft is interred.
You're not allowed to take pictures.
That's against their policies. You don't take pictures in the cemetery.
Really?
We're told it's an issue of privacy because people don't want their relatives' names, their family names being taken pictures. I think it's rather obtuse, but I'm basically respectful of it. But it's not taken too seriously anymore.
Well, if I die, everybody has plenty. You have my permission to take a picture of my. I want people to know me and remember.
Everybody, Emily's here. She said it's okay.
She photobombed. Emily photobombed the graveyard.
Yeah.
There, I see it way back there in the right corner. Emily,
I'm glad that's being scrolled. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Emily, why are you planning to join us? Are you going to be there?
No, I can't be at Rhode Island during that time, but I was hoping it was going to be live online, and I could watch it. And I could make
we might do something especially for you. Yes.
Do something online. Like, I would love to see that. Yes, definitely. But Carl, real quick, and we'll let you go. Where can people find you? Where's the easiest place people can find you?
Usually Johnston, Rhode Island, or North Providence. Well, look up Panorama Paranormal. We have a website, and I sent you the handle. It's basically HTTP, // and then panoramaparanormal.com, a Wix site.
Okay.
You can just if you keep looking for Panorama Paranormal Contiguous, eventually you'll find us. We have a Facebook page. We're doing more with it. We're starting to build the website more. I haven't done anything with it lately, but Panorama Paranormal, and I'm not that hard to find. I'm probably the only demonologist in the state of Rhode Island.
Small state.
With the name Carl Johnson. Oh, there's another demonologist. He's Keith Johnson. He thinks he's
we gotta have the brother on.
Listen, if you want to do angels. If you're a demonologist, you should also be an angelologist. But,
we need angelologists around.
I keep forgetting I came in a little late and we're limited on time and all that. I can talk about angels too.
Yeah, we need to do another show. We need to have your brother on too, Keith.
Okay, we'll get him on.
Both. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Carl, I just want to say thank you so much. We're going to have to cut you out, and we're going to close out the show, but I appreciate you very much. Happy Easter.
No, obviously you get me enthusiastic talking about subjects.
Well, you're a lot of fun, and you're one of the best guests we have. So thank you so much, and we'll schedule a part 3 sometime soon, okay?
We'll do it, and happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
There we go. Carl L. Johnson, the Conjuring demons and stuff. We didn't I always do this. Why? I got to get better at questions.
No, I mean, listen, it was a good conversation. He, has a lot of knowledge about this subject. So I love having this guy on. Carl is just amazing. A really amazing guy.
Oh, he is amazing. So it would be fun to have his twin brother on next time. Maybe we could.
It's a twin? For real?
Yeah, they're twins. Carl.
Do they look exactly alike?
I'm assuming. I've never seen Keith.
Oh
Keith's
my gosh! One should dress up like a devil. One should dress up like an angel. That'd be hilarious.
I bet you Keith's the angel. That's all I gotta say.
Then they got an arm wrestle at the end, and see who wins. Battle versus good versus evil. That'd be awesome. That's what we're gonna suggest next time. Love it.
Anyway, we love you, everybody. We got to go. Thank you so much for tuning in to What the Frick Live. We will be back here next week. I got the dates mixed up. Ignacio Esteban. We're going to be talking about Mexican mafia. Even got a hitman coming on the next. Yeah, hitman.
Woo.
Is gonna be super interesting. With
get your pixelation in order. Get your pixelations in order, Emily, because you're gonna have to start pixelating some images here.
Well, they're gonna start throwing out all kinds of names that I cannot pronounce.
I got you.
Ignacio Esteban.
Yeah, I got you.
Gosh, that should just be a movie. Love you all. Happy Easter. Thank you for listening to 107.7 FM New Orleans. We'll see you next week.
All right.